All right, everyone, get ready because we are diving deep into some serious Excel power today.
That's right. We're talking about DAX and specifically the first function.
Buckle up because if you work with data and you want to unlock those, really hidden insights in your visualizations, this is the deep dive for you.
Absolutely. And I think we can all relate to that feeling, right? You've got all this data staring you in the face, but how do you actually get the key takeaways out of it?
Exactly. So before we go too far, let's just do a quick level set here. DAX stands for Data Analysis Expressions. And what it does is it takes Excel beyond those basic, sum and average formulas.
Right. It's a whole new world of analyzing data, especially when you're working with charts and graphs and you need to pinpoint those critical firsts within your data.
Okay, so like first sale, first customer interaction, something like that.
Precisely. And it's all about context. You're not just sorting a spreadsheet, you're analyzing trends, patterns, outliers.
So think like a sales dashboard where you've got all your monthly sales broken down by different product categories.
Right. And let's say you want to immediately see which category was the top performer in the very first month of the year. First can pull that out for you instantly. No more manually scanning through rows and columns.
Okay, that is starting to sound very powerful. So walk me through how this function actually works. I mean, where do we even begin?
Well, first you need to tell the function which data to look at. That's the column parameter. So let's say you're analyzing your website traffic after a big marketing campaign. You'd point first to the column containing your daily visitor counts.
Okay, so we're telling it what data we're interested in. Makes sense. But then what? How do we define what first even means in this context?
That's where the axis parameter comes in. This is where you specify the direction of your analysis. Are you looking across rows, down columns, in some other direction? It's like choosing whether you want to see the overall website traffic trend or if you want to zero in on a specific week.
Okay, so I'm picturing this like a graph where we're saying, do we want to find the first point in the whole timeline or the first point in a specific section?
Exactly. It's all about defining your scope.
Got it. Now, what about those real-world scenarios where you're dealing with messy data, like missing data points and things like that? Does first just freak out?
Not at all. The blanks parameter gives you control over how the function handles missing data. You can choose whether to ignore them, treat them as a zero, or include them in the analysis.
So we're essentially choosing how to treat those incomplete pieces of the puzzle, right?
Exactly. And this can be critical for ensuring your analysis stays accurate and relevant to your specific goals.
Okay, so far this is feeling pretty straightforward, but I have a feeling there's more to it than meets the eye, right?
You're absolutely right. There's one more parameter we need to talk about, and it's the one that really unlocks the flexibility and power of first, and that's the reset parameter.
All right, hit me with it. What does reset do?
Well, think about it this way. You might not always want to find the first value in the entire data set, right? Sometimes you want to break things down into smaller chunks and find the first within each of those chunks.
Okay, I think I'm following you. So instead of just looking at the very first data point in the whole set, we can actually drill down and find the firsts at different levels of detail.
Precisely. And that's what reset allows you to do. It controls the level of granularity in your analysis. So going back to our sales dashboard example, if you have your data broken down by month, you could use reset to find the top selling category in the first month of each quarter or even each week.
Now we're talking. That's like having a magnifying glass that can zoom in and out on different parts of your data.
Exactly. And this applies to all sorts of scenarios. Imagine you're managing a complex project with multiple phases and milestones. First can help you instantly pinpoint the very first task that needs to be completed in each phase.
Okay, I'm really starting to see the potential here. This could be huge for optimizing timelines, resource allocation, all sorts of things.
Absolutely. And it's not just about finding that first data point. It's about understanding the context, the why behind that first.
Right, so like in our project example, knowing the first task in each phase is helpful, but it's also about understanding why that task is first and what implications that has for the overall project.
Exactly. It's about connecting the dots and seeing the bigger picture.
Okay, but before we get too carried away, I know you mentioned some potential pitfalls with using first. What do we need to be careful about?
One of the most important things to remember is that the order of your data matters. First identifies the winner based on the starting lineup, so to speak. If your sales data isn't sorted chronologically, for instance, first might pick the wrong product as the top seller simply because it's looking at the order of the data, not the actual dates.
So essentially, we need to make sure our data is clean and sorted properly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, first could give us misleading information.
Exactly. It's like a race where someone jumps the gun. They might technically cross the finish line first, but it doesn't mean they actually won.
Right. So it's a powerful tool, but we need to use it wisely.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest takeaway here for someone who's just starting to explore DAX and the first function?
I think the most important thing to remember is that DAX and the first function are not just about crunching numbers. They're about storytelling with data. It's about using these tools to quickly isolate those critical pieces of information and then reveal the hidden patterns and trends and outliers that would otherwise stay buried.
And ultimately, it's about using those insights to make better, more informed decisions, right?
Absolutely. Whether you're optimizing a marketing campaign, managing a project, or just trying to understand your data better first, can be a game changer.
So the next time you find yourself staring at a complex chart or graph feeling a little bit lost,
Yeah.
remember the power of DAX and the first function.
It might just be the key to unlocking the story your data is trying to tell you.
And on that note, that is a wrap on our deep dive into the DAX first function.